So, good evening, everyone. Today, I will be presenting a simple salary management system built using the VB.NET and Windows Form. Now, let's open our application Visual Studio. So, create a project. So, let's choose for a template for it. So, let's search for a Windows Forms app. Now, you see it here. Highlight it and click the next button. You can name your project anything you want. Let's rename it Rainy. Okay, now that we created the project, what we see here is the form. So, to add a label, press the toolbox on the left side of the Visual Studio. Let's start by adding a labels. Now drag the label to the form. Now to change the label text, click on it and go to the properties windows and update the text. Here on the properties windows, you can customize its fonts, colors, and size of the fonts from the properties panel. Now that's done, let's go back to the toolbox and add the text box. Just search text box, just like I did earlier. Just drag the text box to the form. Here is where we input our data for application system later on. Now, highlight the label and text box, and then repeat this process for every label needed, such as the employee ID, name, and salary, and so on and so forth. Okay, now that we are done to the labels, let's add the data grid view. Go to the toolbox, search data grid view, click and drag. Now you can resize it to fit your design requirements. Just drag the click the right side, and so for the buttons, similar to the labels earlier in the dedicated view, just go to the toolbox, search for buttons, then click and drag again. So to lessen the time, Just copy and paste. Just like the labels, you can just edit the text of the buttons from the properties on the right side. Button 1, let's change it to insert. For the bottom 2, change it to search. Now for the bottom 3, change it to update. And lastly, the button 4, edit it to delete button. Okay, now for the data grid view. To add columns, click on the small arrow icon at the top right corner and select Add Column. Here, you can define the column names. Let's say name ID and change the header ID. Now that side is added, let's add employee ID and change the header text for employee ID. Now repeat this process for the others names, columns. Okay, so after this, once everything is placed correctly, you can just adjust the forms designs and aligning the labels and resizing the data grid view for the cleaner layout. Okay, now we are done customizing or designing the form, and also I've added the functionality of it. I am now gonna demonstrate the output. So first, let's run the application. Okay, now let's proceed to the inserting button functionality. So first, let's input and data. Okay, so when we enter our employee's details into the text fields and then click the insert button, a confirmation message will appear like data inserted successfully. So the data na itong input earlier will be added as a new row sa data grid view, which is na nga ni. Highlight it. Now For the search button functionality, if we need to find a specific employee salary record, we can enter the employee's ID in the search box and then click the search button, for example. 1, 2, 3. Then click. If the employee exists in the system will highlight the row of the employee's data. But if not, if the employee does not exist in the data grid view table columns, a message will appear such as record not found. So in the update button, to update a record, first select a row. So in the selected row in the data grid view, to update a record, you can modify the details in the text fields, which is kani sila. Let's change the name. Salary to 20K. Then click the update button. Now the selected row is updated with the new values, and the message will appear such as data updated successfully. Now for the delete button, if an employee's salary record needs to be deleted, select the row in the data grid view and then click delete. Now the row is removed and the message will appear such as data deleted successfully. Okay, so in summary, the system allows the users to insert data, search, update, and delete, and it also automatically calculates the total salary based on your allowances and deductions.